Medicine is complicated. Jeanne Calment, the woman who had the longest documented lifespan ever of 122 years, claimed she smoked a cigarette every day for almost 100 of them. Humans are prone to cognitive biases that make it hard to change our minds, even in the face of experts telling us otherwise, like the morons that believe that. Let's see if you can unbias yourself. Sugar doesn't cause hyperactivity in kids. That's right, it doesn't. Or at least, since you can't prove a negative, it's not believed to cause it. Study after study after study have been done, and none were able to find a link between sugar and hyperactivity. So why is it widely believed that this happens? First, faulty science. In the 70s and 80s, studies were conducted that seemed to show an association between sugar and hyperactivity. One study, for example, concluded this study has found an effect of sucrose on the behavior of normal children. That study only contained an N, or sample size, of 15 kids, which is pretty small. Secondly, confirmation bias. When you see kids go crazy at a birthday party, you assume it's because they're caked and candied up. In 1994, one study was done where kids were given a sugarless drink, yet the parents of some of the kids were told it contained sugar. The parents that believed their kids drank sugar were harsher on their kids and believed that the drink led to hyperactivity, when, again, none of the drinks contained sugar. But since those original studies associating sugar with hyperactivity were done, many more studies and meta-analysis were done to show no link whatsoever between sugar and hyperactivity. You probably have herpes, but you probably shouldn't test for it. Herpes is complicated. Even though it's estimated that about 1/3 of the world's population has experienced cold sores as a result of oral herpes, it's estimated that about 2/3 of the world's population are asymptomatic carriers of the oral herpes virus HSV1. But there's also HSV2, or downstairs herpes, of which about 13% of the world's population are infected with. But it gets really tricky because someone can have symptoms of oral herpes in their downstairs area, or downstairs herpes on their mouth. All in all, while the majority of the world's population across all countries likely have one or both of the viruses in their body, it's the consensus opinion in the medical field to only be tested for it if someone is showing symptoms. Since most people have it, medical professionals are more concerned with treating those with symptoms than worrying about it being spread. So it's a little like Schrödinger's herpes. Depression in pregnant moms can help the baby? Fetal programming, despite sounding like a crappy software development strategy, is a theory that suggests that environmental factors experienced while a fetus is in the womb can affect the health of the child throughout the baby's lifetime. The most known form of this was studied during the Dutch famine, in which malnourished pregnant women in the Netherlands gave birth to children who experienced higher lifetime risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity, and other diseases. There's also been studies that link stress and depression in mothers during pregnancy to delayed development in newborns. However, some studies have shown that both pre- and postnatal depression in mothers could actually be beneficial to babies. In one study, researchers compared 4 groups of mothers: those who were not depressed either pre or postnatally, mothers who were only depressed in one of pre or postnatal, and mothers who were depressed both pre and postnatally. The children of the groups that had consistent states actually performed the best in early cognitive tests, which leads to a theory that a consistent environment, even one where the mother is depressed, may be beneficial, as the baby, due to fetal programming, was prepared in the womb for the environment, while a different environment can be challenging. However, this is a highly complex topic with a lot of variability. Placebos work even if people know they're placebos. Placebos have a long, well-documented, and still complex history in medicine, but the medical community agrees that there are real benefits to placebos, mostly around how they can positively affect mood and therefore physical sensations such as motor function and pain tolerance. However, studies have also been conducted where the patients were aware that they were taking a placebo, known as open-label placebo. Even in the cases where the patients know they're taking a sugar pill, there were positive outcomes. One meta-analysis of 13 open-label placebo studies concluded OLPs appear to be promising treatment in different conditions. Cracking knuckles does not cause arthritis. What started as an old wives' tale to get children to stop being annoying gained traction in the medical community when a medical researcher famous for work in rheumatology hypothesized that a few of his patients' arthritis was related to their obsessive knuckle cracking. Well, the good news is that there's no believed link between arthritis and knuckle cracking. The reason for this sound is actually still a subject of debate among scientists, but could be due to pockets of gas in joints being collapsed quickly. It's believed that it takes about 20 minutes for the ability to crack a joint to recharge. However, there is a link between joint cracking and OCD. Sour candy decreases stress and increases risk-taking. As a sour candy Chad myself, I already know how people who like sour candy are smarter, funnier, and better golfers than those who don't. However, research has been conducted that shows strong links between the effect of the sour taste and improved psychological states such as depression and anxiety. It's theorized that the strong puckering effect of sour taste overrides the senses and forces a sensory grounding, which then helps immediately alleviate psychological distress. Other studies have shown a link between sour taste and risk-taking behavior. The researchers even go as far to suggest that those who struggle with risk-taking could benefit from a sour additive in their diet. This is why I pop a black cherry warhead every day. The appendix is actually useful. The history of the appendix is a sad one. The organ was first described in 1521 and named in the 1540s, though the word for the back of the book came into the English language at the same time. Then, in 1871, Darwin theorized that because human appendices seemed to be smaller than other animals' appendices, it was a vestigial or a holdover from evolution that no longer served a purpose. Well, it turns out Darwin was a
fake news peddler.
His belief about the appendix remained popular until about the year 2000, when new research found that the appendix serves important immune and waste matter functions such as retaining good bacteria when the body flushes gut contents through diarrhea. Medical researchers have shown that people who have had their appendices removed are at risk for recurrent microbiome infections, and thus there is a link between intact appendices and human longevity. Redheads require 20% more anesthesia. In 2004, a study was performed that compared red-headed women with black or brown-haired women. It concluded that the redheads needed about 20% more anesthesia than those in the dark-haired group. The theory follows that redheads have a mutation of the MC1R gene, which could affect pain sensitivity. Many reputable news sources then spread the discovery. Haha! I tricked you! The study only included 10 red-headed women and 10 dark-haired women. A narrative review from 2024 of this and 9 other studies concluded, because the studies have different designs and populations, it was difficult to draw any general conclusions. But then says that there may be some association between redheads and responsive to pain. So it could be true, or maybe not. The human body is weird and complicated, and the science of the human body is weird and complicated. Even medical professionals like doctors can be subject to the same cognitive biases. And of course there's always quacks or conners. Apparently in the early 20th century, there was a surgeon named John Brinkley who became rich convincing people that he can improve their health by surgically implanting goat glands in them, allegedly earning him around $260 million in today's dollars. He was a bad doctor. No, he was the goat? Sorry for my cheesy goat puns.